Good morning, Parent Power Hour. Hi, I am Kristen. Today is Thursday. It is 10 a.m. here in Dallas. It's a beautiful, clear sky day, and I hope that you're having a great day also wherever you are. Today is episode 29, and we've been here on Parent Power Hour almost for 30 straight days. Can you guys believe it? Tomorrow is our big 3-0, 30 flirty and thriving. I don't know if that was a thing when you turned 30, but it was when I did. And so yes, I am over 30. I know you're shocked. We all are together, right? Not at all. So I'm going to go ahead and apologize. My voice already this morning, it's not in tip-top shape. I think yesterday I was just so passionate about everything. And when I was listening to yesterday's video or watching it, I realized I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so loud. So I'm going to try to bring it back down a little bit and capture some of my excitement and move a little bit less as well. I've been noticing a little bit of lag in the audio and the video here. And, you know, this is not a high-tech studio, clearly. I've got, like, my personal items around, and that's a door to a closet. So we're all good. But I'm glad you're here this morning. And today is today we are unpacking steps 7 and 8 of the Rising Strong process as researched and presented in Brené Brown's book, Rising Strong. There's so much of her work that is seeped in all kinds of ways in our Parent Power Hour talks that we have. And I just wanted to take this week, there's 10 steps to the process, and I wanted to take this week to break down, or I gotta go back and forth between, is it breaking it down and digging in, or is it taking a high level look? Because of course there's a whole book about it, and breaking, not necessarily, the book isn't organized in each of the 10 steps, but I think it goes to show that what we're doing here in a quick 30 or 45 minute session is trying to find ways that we can integrate these concepts, this process into our lives. If you were with us yesterday, we talked about integrating. We talked about really that is one of the strongest steps that we take as in our human experience. When we take something new on that we've learned, we start to be creative with it by adding it in a way that makes sense to us. Translate, what does this mean? How can this be something that I take on in my life? And so that's ideally what I hope is happening for you here this week, as well as every day that you show up for Parent Power Hour, whether it's recorded or live. I hope that if you are a parent, that you're able to find a spot where you can tune into yourself. And if you are not a parent, that you're rearranging, putting your laptop away, maybe just plug in here with some earbuds and finding a spot to really center with yourself. Multitasking is a myth. It's a myth. We can't really focus on more than one thing at a time. So even if you're watching, thousands of you are watching live right now. This is my positive thinking. Go ahead and pause it. Finish up whatever the thing was you were doing, because we all have lists of a million things to do. But I really want to start to remind you that at the beginning of each of our Parent Power Hours, that you're really carving out this time for intentional focus for yourself. And I know that's hard to be intentional about, because especially those of you that are parents, we have, and I put myself in this category because I also know that, like, productivity and attention to others and is all very, very ingrained in who I am. And so what I am hoping that you can do, especially those of you as parents, is for us to continue to realize that the better we take care of ourselves, the better we can, and we are better equipped to take care of those that we love, whether that's our children, our teammates, our friends, our family, people that we're in relationship with, and that way we can better show up. We can be a better version of ourselves. So just want to get that out there and hope that you know that in Parent Power Hour, it is for you. It is your self-development time, and it is not being selfish. You're actually being more generous and more compassionate with others in your life when you are taking the time for yourself. So let's get in. First of all, good morning, Mom. Mom's here. And good morning, Tina. Tina's on the other side of the world, doing amazing things for kids, her family. I love knowing the people that are in here, and I also love when there are people that I don't know in here. This past week, we've had several people pop up in the comments with questions or just showing up and being real, knowing that, this is a community that we can come to whether you know us or not, and find support and find a level of awareness. I don't even know if that's a thing that a community can provide for somebody else, but number one, to know that we're all in this together, right? And so this is for a place for anyone to come. We had someone earlier this week have a comment that, she was being very real and very honest, and it was amazing to see people surround, even just with a high five, a thumbs up, a heart on her comment, because even those things can be powerful for us, right? So let's do a quick review of what we have been unpacking this week, and that is the Rising Strong process. And this is a overview that's included in her book by Brené Brown, is that Rising Strong is the same process, whether you're navigating personal or professional struggles. And just because you're standing in your office, in your classroom, in your studio, in your house, in your backyard, in your kitchen, doesn't mean that you can take the emotion out of this process. And I would even venture to say, that also applies to whether or not we can take the emotion out of our lives. Hello, right? Can't take the emotion out of the life experience that we're having. Whoops, too fast. All right, so Rising Strong 1, I'm tempted so much every time I go through this review to unpack every single one all over again, but we're going to review up until 7 and 8, which is what we're jumping into today. And if you're interested in going back and seeing what the other steps of the process are, they are on newminds.tv. Number 1, if we are brave enough often enough, we will fall. This is the physics of vulnerability. Rising Strong 2. Once we fall in the service of being brave, we can never go back. Rising Strong 3. This journey belongs to no one but you. However, no one successfully goes it alone. Simple. We're wired for story. Complicated. We're wired for story. Yesterday was 5 and 6. Excuse me. Wow, so many things going on. My voice is not in tip-top shape, and now I'm sneezing. All right. Number 5. Creativity embeds knowledge so that it can become practice. We move what we're learning from our heads to our hearts through our hands. And 6 was yesterday, which also went along with 5. Rising Strong is the same process, just like our quote, how we start each day during this week, whether you're navigating personal or professional struggles. And so that's a quick review, and you could hear the hesitation in my voice. Probably I'm like, I want to give a quick overview of every single one. But I know that would also add on 3 more hours, and I don't need to, because you can access them if you go to newminds.tv. Scroll towards the bottom. I believe that Parent Power Hour is more towards the bottom, and then you also get to see some cool highlights of the other programs and shows that we have for kiddos. Got some really amazing things, projects that are happening, because that's what New Minds Enrichment is all about, real inspired learning for all. So while majority of our programming, I'm going to take that back. I'm going to say it's about half and half. Half and half of our programming is geared towards learning and opportunities for children, school-age children, and also half of what we do at New Minds Enrichment is for adults. And this specific show is more for parents and individuals who are looking to better themselves. And then we also do have our professional development training. We provide all kinds of specialized training for teachers, and there's all of that. I didn't mean for that to turn into a commercial, but it did. All right, so Rising Strong 7 is where we're starting off with today. Let me pull that up for you. Oopsie, you already got 8. Oh no, I'm just clicking around. I'm so excited. Rising Strong 7. Comparative suffering is a function of fear and scarcity. Comparative suffering is a function of fear and scarcity. Fear and scarcity are things that we're all very familiar with. Fear is part of that human experience, and we can recognize fear. We're familiar with fear. We have lived in it. We have sat with it. We've avoided it. We've done everything that we possibly can to get over it in some situations. We run from it. Fear's like, we know fear. And scarcity, that idea that there's never enough, that there's never going to be enough, that there isn't enough. And those things are triggered by comparison. And that goes the same way for pain and hurt. When you're finding that you're suffering, when you're feeling, whether that's physically or emotionally, hurt by someone, or you hurt someone, whether it's intentional or unintentional, we often slip into this comparison trap, and we start to get into also this idea of foreboding joy, right? That, well, I got this award and this recognition, but I left school every day at 5 o'clock, and I see my kindergarten bilingual co-teacher still here until God knows how late, because I left at 5. And so if I'm here at 5 and school's over at 2:45, then she must be here until, and then the next day I find out, oh yeah, she is there until 8 p.m. every night, because her kids have so much further to go, and man, she's working so hard, and she's buying snacks for her kids, and she's the number one teacher, and I'm the one that got award. Whoa. What we end up doing with this, like, oh, I'm so grateful I have access to grocery delivery, and all I have to do is pick up an app, and I can have someone go shop for me. I don't even have to leave the house, and they bring my groceries to my front door. I don't have to talk to anybody. That's incredible. And then in the back of your head, some of us are still saying, yeah, but I also know that there's people that just don't have any access to any food, any water, and we start this comparison thing. And the tricky part with all of that is that we can and we must allow our present moment of gratitude for what we have, the blessings, the awards, the recognition, the positive interactions that we have with others, the access to technology that we have. We live in that, and we hold separately the misfortunes of others. Because if we start to always couple them, then that comparison game, that foreboding joy, I'm happy, but something might happen in the future, or I don't want to forget this thing because I know it's going to happen in the future. If we don't separate those things, they start to seep into our being of our own fears, and seep into this concept of scarcity, that I have this, but I also know somebody else doesn't have it, and so there actually isn't enough for all of us. That's not gratitude. Gratitude is living in the satisfaction and living in the trust that there is enough, because there is. Your enough is enough for you. My enough is enough for me. My enough might be different than your enough. Point blank. We don't even have to say that's okay. The opposite of scarcity isn't abundance. The opposite of scarcity is enough. Abundance is another category of, I'm not even going to go there, because that's like, I'm in the middle of myself of a 21-day meditation on abundance. If I can't talk to you in 30 seconds or less about it, I for sure can't do that, because there's a whole 21-day meditation I'm a part of. If that's something that's interesting to you, give me a holler and I'll get you in on the group. I'm not leading it. I'm a participant, and I'm continuing to participate there. So back on track. The opposite of scarcity is not abundance. It's enough. If we start discounting, discounting the fact that there is enough, if we start moving into this place of, well, you said there's enough, but I've lost my job, and you said there's enough, but I can't, and if I'm supposed to be in this place of accepting that there is enough, and people around me are suffering, how am I supposed to live? How am I supposed to move forward in my joy? How? That's the process. That's you figuring that out for you. What we are doing here with the Rising Strong process as our guide is that shows is living into this process, is practicing this process. I can't figure that out for you. I can give you some options, and I can show you the research that other people have done. But how you do that is exactly that. It's up to you to figure that out. And here's the thing. It's not that you arrive at understanding this scarcity. It's not that you arrive at understanding, oh, I have enough. Check. I've reached that part of my life. I have enough. Now I know I can move on. It's not quite like that, because the reason why I've said it now like 6 times is that you have to figure it out for yourself, is because on that journey of you figuring it out, that's that process for you. And we value and we know here that process is everything. I wish there was a cool saying, like process is king, cash is king, process is the prince. Process is the princess over all of us. I don't know. I'm exercising my creativity, you guys. I'm integrating this into my being. So I'm trying to get creative with it. That's a reference to yesterday's. So if you're like, what is that about? How's that funny? Just watch yesterday's. Watch episode 28. Don't discount the importance, and this comes straight from Brené's mouth. Don't discount the importance of having a process to navigate everyday hurts and disappointments. Remember that yesterday we were talking about those little P problems? Having to put on a mask to go into Target? Little P problem, right? And I know some of you just went there. You're like, well, aren't you lucky that you even get to go into Target? Because, I live on the other side of the world. I don't even have Target. Trust me, I know. I was there. I didn't have Target for forever. And also, I live in a part of the world. Some of you might even be thinking, well, I live in a part of the world where I don't even get to go anywhere, much less, we don't even have Target, but much less anywhere. We are on full 100%. We don't leave our homes. Yeah, that's your process and that's your experience. And while I recognize that, I practice empathy and compassion towards that. I hope you're starting to see that if I let that be my reason for gratitude, that means I'm giving a lot of weight to scarcity. That means that I'm giving a lot of position to trigger some comparisons. And comparison is the death of so much self-trust, of so much enoughness, right? So if we discount the importance of having a process to navigate even the very small everyday hurts and disappointments, those things, the way that we handle those little things, the little P problems, can also shape who we are and how we feel. How we feel, think, and we are around things. So what do? We got to let go of scarcity. We've got to let go of fear. How do we let go of scarcity and fear? We've talked about this for a whole week. Last week? Yeah, last week. Do you remember my shirt? We choose joy. We let go of scarcity and fear by cultivating joy and gratitude, by practicing that process of joy and gratitude. We let go of comparison. This one's going to be like a let it sit here in your brain for a second. I mean, I know I had to, because I was like, huh? We let go of comparison by cultivating creativity. We let go of comparison by cultivating creativity. these are part of imperfection, of being willing to live in a space of it's not done yet, to be living in a space of I could give it more time and figure it out in another way. Letting go of comparison by cultivating creativity means being open, and not that you're closed-minded, but that you sit with something and you say, okay, what else can I learn from this experience? What else can I begin to integrate about this step of the process? Letting go of putting a label on exhaustion as a status symbol. I'm working, but you know what? I'm working so hard because because there's other people that don't even have a job right now. So I'm going to work harder. And then next thing you know, not next thing you know, it's pretty obvious that that when we get into that zone of working hard like that becomes a status symbol. Well, I worked, and I fall into this trap. I think I legit just did it yesterday. I was like, I worked for hours on this one part of this project, and then the internet decided that we weren't going to be able to do what we wanted to do with this specific project, and there it is. All my work is just out there now, and I don't get to see any result from it. And in a way, when I was throwing that out there and in that zone of I spent hours on this and I did this and I worked hard and I'm so tired and I'm exhausted, I end up going to that space of letting my exhaustion become a status symbol, and I'm letting my productivity excuse me I start to let or allow my productivity become a definition of my self-worth. And I worked for hours on this project and nothing happened. I am not doing great at my job. Whoa, jump. I just jumped over a bunch of assumptions about the effectiveness of my work, about the process of my work, right? So in order for me to let go of exhaustion as a status symbol and productivity as defining my self-worth, I cultivate play. And I cultivate rest. Because what I did yesterday, thanks to my dad, he fixed up a bike that's been at my parents' house. And I think 15 years ago, I think I bought that bike for my mom. I don't remember this. Maybe it was actually, no. I think that was the first cruiser bike that my dad, we noticed that my dad was getting into riding a bike outside again. This is several years ago. And I think that red bike was the first bike that we chipped in. Moral of the story is this bike hasn't really been touched for a very, very long time. Because of course he got an actual bike and the whole thing. And so it's been beautiful outside. And then of course, with the quarantine and everything, mom says I did buy it for her. See? In which I can't believe we didn't even recognize this a long time ago, because I can barely get on it. It's the middle bar is way too high. And my mom's I'm 5'4", my mom's probably 5'2", 5'1". There's no way she can get on that. Anyway, so my dad fixed it up. There was a chain problem with it, maybe some air in the tires, You know how it goes for a bike that hasn't been ridden for a while. So, I've spent the last week and a half working on this project, and I was, getting some major status out of working so hard and being so tired all the time. And also getting some major, self-worth knockdowns, because I didn't feel like I was making as much progress as I could have been making on other projects or other things going on. So my productivity was suffering. And I even said this to you guys 10 minutes ago, productivity it's a big thing for me to know that I'm being productive, to not waste time, because wasting time is a big pet peeve of mine. And so here I am. Yesterday I find myself in this zone of comparison, in this self-worth battle of I wasn't being productive enough, and I was spreading in conversations I was having with friends, about, I'm so tired and, I worked so hard on this such and such thing. And then, yesterday we ended up breaking the internet because of it and we didn't even get to use it in our company. And I'm letting those things become my status symbol when I should be cultivating play and rest. And so that's where the bike came in. And it was great timing. I dropped the nephews off at my mom and dad's house yesterday, picked up the bike. I had ordered myself a bike helmet. Little nephew, his birthday was on Monday, and so I ordered him a bike helmet. So I was like, when I was getting him one, I was like, maybe I'll get one for myself because then I'll be more likely to actually get on a bike and I did that yesterday, you guys. It's not like a sporty thing. It's not. It's like a relaxing thing for me. Although my leg muscles do kind of hurt. I took a few hills. But I played. I got out and I played. Tina says, great reminder to cultivate play and to cultivate rest. She loves it. She also said, it was a great tip about gratitude. It seems like we make it more complicated. Gratitude should be a simple act. And you are exactly right. And yesterday, when I was on my bike, it was like 6:37, and it was like the most beautiful sunset, you guys. Oh my gosh. Like those sunsets in Dallas are similar to sunsets. I used to live in Dubai, and while it's the desert, there's the ocean, and it's flat, and the ocean, I don't even know all the science, but there's just the way that the colors can come out in the clouds, purples and pinks, and yesterday we had these big fluffy clouds at the end at sunset yesterday, and so there was that same sort of like purpley pink. It was beautiful sunset, and so that was my rest. I got to play on this bike, something that as a kid it may surprise a lot of you, but I spent a lot of hours playing outside on my bikes, climbing trees, being in nature, and for years I have not played in that way. And I've gone outside and played with my nephews, obviously. They're 4 and 2, the 2 that live here. The others are 17 and 13, and they're not interested in playing with me anymore at all. It's okay. We play in different ways. Might send each other like a text message, and that's about it. But the point here is that I had to cultivate that. I had to go out, and we have to cultivate that in order for us to let go of this exhaustion as a status symbol. And I'm really leaning on this one a lot right now because of the economic status of where we are, of our country, of the extreme fear that is gripping a lot of our country. And it's not going to get better for a while. And instead of going doomsday, let's go play and rest. Let's go cultivate creativity. Let's go cultivate joy and gratitude, because we can only let go of scarcity and fear when we cultivate creativity. We can let go of comparison when we let go of scarcity and fear by cultivating joy and gratitude. Let go of comparison by cultivating creativity. Let go of exhaustion as a status symbol and productivity as self-worth by cultivating play and rest. Hey, Cindy's here. Good morning. Welcome in. I haven't even read all your tips yet. She sent me some awesome feedback. I want to carve out some time to be intentional about it. So I'm so glad you're here right now. We are looking at, and I'll put it back up again. It's a good chance for all of us to take another look at step 7 of the Rising Strong process. There are 10. And we're talking about comparative suffering, and that's a function of fear and scarcity. Fear and scarcity are triggered by comparison, and especially when we're talking about comparative suffering. Right now, I'm really landing on this a lot and unpacking this part of the conversation because of the status of our country, because of the status of our communities, our families. And, we've been talking for weeks about fear. We've been talking for weeks about that. We've been living in this place of foreboding joy. I'm so grateful for access to fill it in blank, because other people on the other side of the world, or other people in other cities, or my family that lives in fill in the blank, they don't get to do X, Y, and Z. Gratitude, as Tina reminded us in the comments, gratitude is simple. When we start to get in that comparative suffering, we actually are putting light and allowing fear and scarcity to be the root of that of those comparisons. And especially when we're in this time right now where there's so many questions and there is so much fear flying around, when we can start to let go of those things by cultivating gratitude, joy, creativity, play, and rest. Play and rest are essential to us moving through using and allowing our exhaustion and our productivity to define our self-worth and our status. Working hard to make it through financially and to figure out the challenges of learning at home is essential. It's not a status symbol. Throwing around, ooh, I'm going to step on some toes. Throwing around the fact that you can sit for 7 hours at your kitchen table with your kids working on their laptops and helping them write their 13-page papers, that's a status symbol. You're saying, I've worked so hard. And when we start to do that, that pulls us away from our true joy and gratitude. That pulls us away, and that starts to push us into fear and scarcity, because if you're placing value on that, what happens when it goes away? What happens when your kids are able to take care of themselves in their own learning at the table without you? Then your value of that being such an important part of that is gone, and it's taken away. And this is especially challenging for those of us who are high performers. We are driven. We are pushed, and we are the challenges that come our way. We dive in deep and we dig in there, and we're like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to come out on top. My kids are still going to be above grade level because we're going to work this hard. And I've got focused on my goals, which I've said to us a million times on this Parent Power Hour. We focus on who we want to be, and we cultivate that. And we are so driven by all of that. And we are burning out already. And we're not even at the lift yet. Y'all, we're not even there. All the stuff starting to fly around about all the restrictions of when the lift happens. And all the new rules of things that can happen. And we're not even there yet. And those of us who are high performers, and we've been working hard, figuring this thing out, providing solutions for our families, our teammates, the people that work for us, like we're there in that zone, and we are working hard. And you know what else high performers do? Yes, we succeed, and yes, we lead, and yes, we work hard, and then you know what we do? We play hard. I'm going to work hard, I'm going to play hard. Work hard, play hard. How many times have you heard that, right? Playing hard is not resting. Hello, you guys, you know this. We know this. And it feels, facetious to say it out loud. Play hard is not rest. When we play without the restrictions of, I'm going to go and I'm going to play so hard, I'm going to be outside with my kids, and we're all going to sweat. Yes, there's an element of joy to that, and there's an element of playfulness to this, but is it full rest and play when it's still complete, or even just the complete shutdown? Because I don't even have to venture to say it, because it's in here as well, that we work so hard, and when we think that we have to play hard, what we actually do is we check out and we shut everything out. And we go either completely numb, or we go, back in the days when we used to be able to take vacation, go sit on a beach, not do anything, eat all the food, drink all the drinks, not talk to anybody, don't check any email, and it's point blank the exact opposite of playing hard. So similarly, just like the opposite of scarcity is not abundance, it's enough. The opposite of working hard isn't complete shutdown. The opposite of Working hard is resting and being playful. And because when you think about rest, I hope you rest well, is different than I need to go pass out because I'm exhausted, right? I've got some good comments coming in. It's like quality versus quantity, exactly. A good reminder, work hard and play hard. Work becomes play if one looks at it from a different perspective. I'm going to see more with a positive attitude. And taking that different perspective, thank you so much for sharing both of those comments. Taking a different perspective and that positive attitude comes when we have cultivated that creativity, right? When we let go of that comparison of, well, so-and-so got to sit on the beach and not think about anything. I want to go sit on the beach. Is that the thing for you? Is that the thing that really gets you? If it does, then go do that. And don't worry about so-and-so did or what she didn't do. That's that comparison trap that you might find yourself falling into. So for Rising Strong 7, comparative suffering is a function of fear and scarcity. And I wanted to also read, I'm just going to read this part. It's from Daring Greatly. Daring Greatly is, there it is. Is another one of Brené's books. How the courage to be vulnerable transforms the way we live, love, parent, and lead. This one was, I believe, she published the second. I should have known that before. No, she published this first. And then Rising Strong came out, because Rising Strong is the process that includes Daring Greatly. And so scarcity is looking inside of our culture of never enough. Here's the key learning with scarcity, is that we're living in a culture of scarcity, a culture of never enough. The opposite of never enough isn't abundance or more than you can imagine. The opposite of scarcity is enough, or what Brené calls wholeheartedness. There are 10 guideposts to wholeheartedness, which is what we're working through, this step of 10 Rising Strong process. There are 10 guideposts to wholeheartedness, but at its core are vulnerability and worthiness, facing uncertainty, exposure, emotional risk, and knowing that you are enough. Facing uncertainty, exposure, and emotional risk, and knowing that you are enough. After doing this work for the past 12 years and watching scarcity ride roughshod over our families, organizations, and communities, I'd say the one thing we all have in common is that we're sick of feeling afraid. We want to dare greatly. We're tired of the national conversation centering on what should we fear or who should we blame. We're tired of it. We're sick of it. We all want to be brave. Scarcity is the opposite of enough. And so when we start to live into facing uncertainty, facing exposure of our true selves, taking emotional risks, and knowing that we are enough, that is what helps us to understand and fight that comparison battle. Number 8, number 8 is just as simple as it's going to be today, and that you can't engineer an emotional, vulnerable, and courageous process into an easy one-size-fits-all formula. This speaks for itself. This doesn't have a ton of unpacking to do here, but mostly because we center on this a lot anyway. We center on this in a way that we're already here. We show up for Parent Power Hour. For those of you that can tune in daily, some of you are here daily looking at this concept that we're working on this process, and we recognize that. So what Rising Strong does is it presents a theory, and it's grounded in data that explains the basic social process that men and women experience as they're working to rise after falling. It's a process. It's a back and forth action. There's not always a relationship between effort and outcome in this process. High performers, high achievers, watch out. Watch out. We don't arrive at rising strong. We don't say, yep, I rose strong, I'm here, what's next? I think now I'll work on productivity. Yep, I was productive, I don't ever have to work on that again, what's next? Because a lot of high achievers, a lot of us put a bookend on something and say, check, we're done with it. In this process, there isn't always a relationship between how much you work on it and how much you see the change and effect having in your life. You can't game it or perfect it so it's fast and easy. You have to feel your way through most of it. And I'm reading this from her because she can, obviously, she's the published author, New York Times bestseller. The contribution that I hope that Brené Brown hopes to make is to put a language around the process. That's what we're practicing here. To bring into our awareness some of the issues that we may need to grapple with if we want to rise strong. To simply let people know that they're not alone. Putting some language to this process, talking about comparative suffering, bringing some awareness to the issues that we may need to grapple with if we want to rise strong, and letting people know that they're not alone. We started out today's session with, remembering this past week, over the past few days, how amazing it's been to have you chime in, and even today, you've chimed in, even with your good reminders, even with your high fives and your likes. That is for not only the people that are here presently, but even for the people that will watch this later, to know that we are not doing this alone, and that when we are here, we're cultivating these things, and we're in the process. And today might be great, and the next hour might be great, and then tomorrow might be incredible. Or tonight might be awful. Let's not get stuck in this comparative, I was so awesome. We can even compare it to ourselves, right? Let's not get stuck on that. Let's cultivate play and rest. Let's cultivate creativity. Let's work on cultivating joy and gratitude. Remembering that we maintain those things so that we can continue the practice of rising strong. And look what I did, you guys. I'm not going to have to filter through any pages anymore, because there is no greater threat to the critics and the cynics and the fearmongers, all these people that are wandering around with their heads cut off and putting all this what ifs out there. And instead of them practicing and getting into this process of who we are so that we can fall a little bit and practice getting back up, we are showing them that we're willing to fall because we have learned how to rise. I hope that you have found something today that is real, that is inspired, that you've learned something new about yourself. If you have, please continue to share and like these videos with your community, with your friends, on your page. You guys know we're not getting paid for this. Nobody is getting any ads. Nobody's getting any. I mean, I haven't shown you any products yet, have I? If you want to buy me a new bike, somebody out there that owns a bike shop, I can sponsor it for you. I promise. I'll say, hey, then I got this new bike and it changed my life. We're not there, and we may not get there, but we can. We are more likely to get there if you continue to share the love with us and for us. Follow us on, we also have all of our episodes are posted on YouTube, on our YouTube channel, New Minds Enrichment, there, and you'll find the similar playlists. You can look for us on newminds.tv, of course. If you follow us and like us and get notifications on YouTube, you'll get when the recorded versions of all of our lives are posted there. So we definitely encourage you to pass that on as well. And if you tap the little bell on YouTube, you'll get notifications when the new recorded version of the lives are there. So please share this out with people that you know that love to grow, that love to learn, that are also interested in resetting and transforming their lives so that they can live, love, parent, and lead better. I'm Kristen. Always stay true to yourselves and pursue your passions until they become your talent, and have an amazing rest of your Thursday.